So, one last thing I need to do on the Morris Minor before going for the test drive, which if you're subscribed to my channel, you will have already seen. That is to remove this, my dynamo. My dynamo doesn't work, it doesn't charge. I've also tried a spare one I had, that doesn't work, doesn't charge. Rather than repair them, I figured I'd go for an upgrade. In this box, I have an alternator, a wiring loom, a new belt, a couple of brackets, some electrical connectors, and some instructions. This is the easy bit. I have a bolt there, a bolt there, a bolt just underneath there, and then a couple of electrical plugs on the back, and the dynamo will be out. Right, look at that empty space. We like this. So, unplugged from the back, and we've got the old belt, some nuts and bolts, which I'll probably keep because you never know when you're going to need them, and a manky old dynamo that doesn't work. So, break out the instructions. So this kit I bought from Morris Minor Parts. I'll put a link down below. It was by far the cheapest version of this I could get, and it's more comprehensive than I thought it would be. But I love the fact that the instructions are a printed drawing. Someone's drawn, and there's a good drawing. Someone's drawn this, and it's brilliant. So you can see the word discard here. That is that unit there, which is like a regulator thing. So we get rid of that. There's some changes to the wiring loom, hence the new loom. So let's start from the beginning. Disconnect battery. That was easy. If you've got a negative earth car, early one, you'll need to change the polarity. Instructions are on there. Remove the dynamo, we've done that. Fit fan and pulley assembly to alternator, which I believe is already on there. Yep. So we've got fan and the pulley already on there. Cutaway wires to dynamo where they appear from loom. These are no longer required. So that is these two wires here. I'm probably just going to leave them in for now and just let them hang, because this engine will be changed at a later stage. So I can't bother to cut into the loom and then rewire it up when stuff's going to be changed anyway. If you want to know more about that, make sure you're subscribed, but it will probably be about the end of this year. Modify wiring to voltage regulator. Remove 2 earth wires from terminal E and attach to bulkhead via a ring connecting self-tapping screw. Terminal E is there. So those 2 wires there need to be attached to a ring terminal. Now my idea for this is if I undo these 2 screws, this whole regulator will come off. I can then use one of those two screw holes to attach this. That's done. Remove yellow and brown wires from regulator terminal D. These are 2 different thicknesses. Retain the thinner of the 2 and fit the single bullet end. Cut the thicker one back to where it appears from the loom. Now I'm not going to use the bullet ends on there because they need to be soldered and my soldering iron is at home. I'm going to use these crimp ones, which should work just as well. Now, this is why I haven't unplugged any of these. So terminal D is the next one in. We have the thick one and we have the thin one. So the thin one's the one we're going to connect this bullet connector to, and the thick one we are going to leave. There we go. Plug the new loom into the alternator, which I haven't fitted yet. So I suppose that's the next step. Right, the next step, number 6, is a bit of a long one. Plugging in the new loom. Let's start with the easy bit. This big plug plugs into the back of the alternator. It's very hard to see now actually, but there is a, hopefully you can see on there, there's a little securing clip that goes on there. So I'm going to feed that up from the bottom and try and plug that in. That feels like it's, is that it? Yeah, there we go. And then that clip sits over like so. Connect the eyelet to the battery side of the solenoid. So the battery side, it will be this side here. So I need to undo that nut there on the positive side. So this is the lead coming off of the positive terminal of the battery. So we'll put that on there. Battery terminal clamp back on, and then there's a little lock washer, and then the nut. Run the yellow and brown wire up to the bulkhead attached to the thin yellow and brown wire number 3 with the single bullet connector supplied. So, single bullet connector supplied. This one here. So, the little thin wire, I'll do this so you can see on camera, there we are. So that goes in there. And then the other bullet connector we made, it goes in there. Remove 2 blue and brown connectors of the 2 blue and brown connector from regulator terminal A1 and fit bullet ends to each of these. Join these 2 wires using the double bullet connector. So once again, I'm going to go with the blue connectors because they're just a little bit easier than the ones supplied. And then this is my double connector. In theory, I need to join those 2 wires together using that connector, unplug the remaining wires, throw that away, start the engine, and we should have connect the battery. We'll connect the battery as well. And then we should have a charging battery. Let's see. Apart from a lot of tidying up, we are pretty much ready to go. I've hooked up my multimeter so we can see currently the battery is at 12.8 volts. It's not bad going, considering it's been a week or so since I've charged it. I've been using it, moving it in and out of the workshop. So, the light we want to go out is this one here, the red ignition light that now doesn't come on because we've got no ignition. Uh-oh, what have we done? So that's where something isn't connected right. Let's take a easy fix. Turns out it's the blue and brown and the 2 brown wires. That's the bit I missed. It says blue and brown and the 2 brown wires. Let's try again. We got ignition light. And it's gone out. Woohoo! And 13.91, 14. Hey, everything's working. Brilliant. I'm going to turn this off because I've got the door shut because it's cold and I don't want to get smoked out. But it's done. Yeah, brilliant. I've got a few bits of tidying up to do and then I'm going to go for my first drive in the Morris Minor, which if you're a subscriber you will have already seen.